things City from the Brighton game. Neil, come straight to you first, pal. It was obviously a really good first half from City, and I feel like we were really put under the cosh from Brighton the second half. I don't know if you remember last season, we got pegged behind, didn't we, by a couple of goals the last time we played them. So I was a little bit nervous going into that second half, and my dog's just decided to attack my light screen behind me. So you carry on talking for a minute while the dog pulls something down. What do you think of the game, pal?
Yeah, I thought we were quite good. First half, we were absolutely phenomenal. Great stuff, obviously taking the 3-0 lead. I think Graham Potter and Brighton probably realized they made a mistake by trying to go for their initial back three sort of setup because of the way we were playing with the false nine. Right? Like with their three centre backs against the false nine, they're almost like improperly utilizing their defenders, and there are too many back there without our attackers in that sort of region. So we did absolutely amazing in the first half, absolutely bossed them 3-0, top stuff. And then second half, they came out and changed to a back four with sort of like a diamond shape in midfield, and they looked a lot better. They were also pressing a lot better after that. And obviously, I think the main thing was game state because we had a 3-0 lead. And as much as you try, you are going to get a little comfortable and possibly complacent if you're 3-0 up at half time. And obviously, you don't want that. That's almost inevitable, I'd say.
Yeah,
So
right.
that allowed them to get, well, as you said, they put us under the cosh for a bit. But then I thought after they scored, they almost dropped. I mean, they scored quite late. What was it? The 81st minute, I think. And then after that, they dropped off anyway. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at the positive, then they made a game in the second half and did just allow us to have a stroll in the park and just
Yeah,
pushed our players a little further.
The damage
I
was
wouldn't
done,
mind that
wasn't it?
because yeah, exactly. The game was like I'd say after the 75th minute, it was pretty much done. I mean,
Yeah.
safe for some miracle. And then I think it's good that they got pushed a bit because obviously most of our key players will be rested in midweek. So like if it was a Champions League week, then like I wouldn't be happy because they had to like put in an extra 10% in that second half. But it's obviously the Carabao Cup, and I don't see our big shots, big players going. So then I don't mind it.
Yeah, we'll have a chat about the West Ham game. I think you're spot on there. I think it's a funny one with Potter, isn't it? Because he's being touted around left, right, and centre as the next big name for management, and you can see a lot of people understanding why Newcastle might be interested in for the job over there. However, he's not going anywhere. I don't think. I think he's got a cracking little job there, and I think he's doing really well. Tibbs, I'll come to you, pal. Long time no see, mate. It's good to see you, buddy. Hope things are well.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because I'm gonna single out as I probably do every time we talk is Phil Foden, the versatility that lad has, and the midfield maestro, and the ability he's got. I just got the feeling it's just too much for Brighton, and I still don't think Foden's at 65% of what his potential is either. I just felt it was just easy for him.
Yeah.
Was he one of your highlight players? Do you have anyone else in mind that you thought did well?
I mean, so the thing with Foden, we've been talking about this for the past however long. At this point, it's the past couple of years, I suppose. I just love seeing him evolve as the months go by because we know that he still has so much football to play in his entire career, and yet he's already this level of mesmerizing. You see him with the ball at his feet, and he just keeps going and going and going. For this game, though, specifically, one thing that I really liked was seeing the connection between him and Jack Grealish, and I thought it was really nice and just like gave me a lot of confidence that this would be a game that we would win pretty comfortably, but also bodes well for the future. That connection back and forth between the two of them gives me a lot of hope for later down the season and in the next couple of years because these guys are still so young.
You're right, and there's no reason why. Sometimes some people say, "Oh, well, we'll only play for it. So many people in midfield, so many people going forward." The good thing about the Jack and Phil partnership is they're both so versatile. I mean, let's look at Foden. Foden can play winger, wide ring, wide right, wide left, false nine. Do you know what? Why not stick him up front as well? We never will. I don't think we will. But they're both so versatile as players, aren't they? They'll always fit in and around each other, which is fantastic for us.
Yeah. Yeah, like we can keep him up front a little bit until Ferran Torres comes back, or like it's something that he seems to be learning a lot from in this position, and I'm not against it. Clearly, it worked this time around.
I want to talk about.
Personally, I think just to chime in. I think Foden's best position is false nine actually, and I had this idea for a while, but after the Brugge game and this last game, I'm absolutely convinced it's his best position without question. Because what he does is, he drops so well, and then when he receives, I think he's the best player, at least in our squad, and I don't think there's many better in England, at taking the ball on the half turn and then either going forward or passing. Because he's so fast, there's no chance a defender can keep up with him, because he's running back, so your defender's already got a disadvantage behind him because you're chasing him. And then he takes it and turns so quickly, like by the time the defender is in front of him, he's either gone or he's released the ball. And that is key for us, because with the way we play, we've got at least 4 runners to like 2 to the left and 2 to the right of him if he's playing in the false nine, at least, plus the fullbacks. So with that, I think he's amazing. His best position is at false nine, and also what he does equally well is after he goes deep and receives the ball and passes or dribbles or whatever, he's very, very good at getting forward and getting back into the box and firing shots off or whatever. Because the other people we've tried first nine, like Bernardo Silva, for example, he's great at dropping and everything, but I just don't think he gets into the box as much. But Foden gets into the box so well after like linking play from deep. So that's why I think his best position might even be false nine. And another player I'd like to add who's phenomenal, and I think this is now a weekly ritual at this point, but Bernardo Silva. Mm-hmm. The guy is just... Did you see that thing he did? I think it was in the second half. So he took the ball on the right touchline, and there were 2 Brighton players, like one behind him, one ahead, and then he chopped inside. Those 2 ran into each other and fell, and then he was gone.
Yeah, that's a
and also that was mad. And his pre-assist for, I think, the goal that Grealish assisted for Foden, was that the second?
Well, we had the
that was the second.
We had the situation, didn't we, where Sanchez dropped the ball from a deflected shot and it fell to Bernardo Silva.
Oh yeah,
they found good
Oh yeah, that was good. But I thought his pre-assist for the second, where I think it was a counter, and then he slipped it right through to Grealish, who slid in, and then found Foden. Sanchez had come out, and then he just scored into an open net. But that pass, see, I think Bernardo Silva is the best central midfielder in England, and I'd say the world right now. On current form, he's so good. He does everything. In defending, that guy can run around more than anyone else. He's so committed. Always gives 120%. I mean, if you looked at this player and you tell me that he wanted to leave in the summer, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
it's incredible. This guy is incredible.
We need to know what was going on there, because I'm still a bit unsure. Because it's an interesting one to say the least. We'll move on, because there was some. I know a couple of Brighton fans, and they weren't too best pleased with our goal when Sanchez dropped the ball, because he did drop the ball, didn't he? It wasn't a foul, but you can see why they'd be a little bit miffed, because I think we've all seen them giving us fouls against the goalkeeper, haven't we, on occasions.
Yeah.
But hey, it wasn't against us, so we can't really complain, won't we? I think one thing we need to talk about.
Sorry. I'm sorry again. But I think one thing I will complain about.
Go on, pal. Go on. You need to put the tissues away from Bernardo Silva.
No, I will complain about one thing, which is the penalty they got. Obviously, it means nothing now. There was a clear offside in the build-up. We all saw it. They showed it on the replay, and then 5 passes later they win the penalty, and then VAR just nothing about it. What's the point of VAR? There was such a clear offside in the build-up. I mean, it didn't do anything on this occasion because we were 3-0 up. But like, if we were 0-0 and they got that penalty, then I'm sure everyone would be fuming, because there was a clear offside 5 or 6 passes before the penalty, and they just did nothing.
Well, let's. I don't know how we've gone from talking to Phil Foden there, Neil, to discussing all the game, going straight through to their penalty. We'll try and set a bit of order to this conversation, shall we, rather than you taking over? That's probably a good idea. We'll move on to City's counter-attack, which we saw several times. Do you think Pep had that in mind to play on the counter-attack as quick as we did? Or do you think that's just the way that the Brighton team set out, Tibbs?
I think it was a mixture of both. Obviously, we know that we City specialize in applying pressure as soon as the opponent gets the ball. So I think there was some of that. I don't know if it was part of the game plan necessarily, but it was, to me at least, a case of like the execution was just so good and so pure. And for Brighton, they needed to be extremely focused at all times if they wanted to keep the ball whenever they could have the possession.
It's a funny one, isn't it? You can understand what in that second half why Brighton are fourth. You can understand why they've got the points from. You can understand why people are singing the plaudits of Graham Potter. The penalty, I can't. You see, this is prime board Ederson, isn't it? It's just, I don't know. He's done it once or twice. He's either come out and takes somebody out or does a silly dive at the feet, and he does it a couple of times a season. It's just unnecessary. The player was going away from goal. What's up there? Is it a rush of blood to the head? Is it that urgency to want to keep the clean sheet? Because when we were at half time and it's 3-0, I'm thinking to myself, the best thing that could happen now is we don't concede. Leave it as that. I'd take that and we'll take the clean sheet. I don't know, Neil. What's your thoughts with Ederson there?
I was fuming because I had him and Cancelo in my FPL. I was getting nice clean sheet points. And no, what was worse, he gave away the penalty and then he got a hand to it. So for a second, I thought he'd saved it. And then it went in. But yeah, I mean, it was unnecessary, as you say. And he does have this in his game. I think he's not the best at one-on-ones. He's the best keeper in the world when it comes to footwork. But he's not the best at one-on-ones. And this is something we've seen quite a Champions League final, for example. I thought he could have done better in terms of decision-making. If he'd stayed back and forced Havertz to make the decision, that would have been better. Copa America final. He came forward and then allowed Di Maria to chip him very easily. And that was the game-changing thing. So I think he's not the best at one-on-ones. But we have to accept it because of how good he is with the ball at his feet. And we need that. Because with the way we play, we need a keeper who can pass. And nobody passes better than him.
I'm with you on that. I think it's part of his game. I think there might be also a part of it, and maybe that's just me romanticizing it, where we know that he's kind of an adrenaline junkie, and we also know that he hasn't done much during that game. Like he's had a couple times when he actually had to step up, but otherwise he maybe was a little bored, and so he was like, I can get it, and he didn't get it. That's how I see it.
That's possible. I mean.
I want to talk about one other player, and we've spoken about him previously, Phil Foden. We'd spoken about his obvious genius on the ball, and there's so much more to come of him. He could have had 4 goals. If it's a tricky one, this, because obviously he's developing, he is learning. I do think that some of the senior players like Raheem Sterling need to take a notch from Foden's shooting ability, particularly this season. I think that's 4 now he's got in the Premier League, isn't it, Foden? I think it's 4 goals he's got in the Premier League. He could have had more, and I was genuinely disappointed he didn't score more. What do you lads think?
I mean,
I thought... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just him, but also the rest of the team. Even though we were up 3-0 at halftime, I think it could have been a lot more severe. But yeah, and for Phil as well. I think he had a miss. Was it another ball from Jack Grealish maybe, or something like that at some point in the second half? I think it could have been a lot harder on Brighton. That's for sure.
And one thing and Ger Brown on Facebook. How are we doing, everybody on Facebook? Hope everyone's all right. It's been a while since we had. Hi Neil, hi Dan. Ger Brown's mentioned something, and this really miffed me this weekend. Brighton fans booing everything. What is this? What is the situation with booing Jack Grealish at the moment? How pathetic do you have to be as an opposition fan to boo a player? That there's no affiliation with booing them whatsoever. If it's an old team, an old competition match, or an old dodgy tackle, how pathetic is it of away fans to start booing a player that they've got no real negative feelings for? Did you two get miffed by that as well?
I've seen almost every team do it this season with Grealish. I suppose they're always jealous.
They are, but why? Why? Just because
I don't get it.
he's left a lifetime, because he's left a boyhood club or something. I don't. Honestly,
I don't get it.
I'm lost to why people are doing Jack Grealish. It's pathetic.
The reason why I have no idea, I'm just speculating. I think it's because we're the big club, the champions, and everything else. I think he might have had like an early tackle that was not received well by the Brighton crowd. I'm not sure, but that plus maybe the frustration of being, down 3-0 at halftime. This could have been enough, I guess.
Wait.
But I mean, okay, you can justify it for this game, but it happens
guys
every
carry on
week.
talking. I'm going to go throw my dog out the window. 2 seconds.
It is a cute
Yeah,
dog.
no, but-
I'll say that.
But I think you can give reasons for this week or whatever, but it happens every week.
You're right. Yeah.
And at this, but you know what's good? I think Grealish almost feeds off it, and he doesn't take
delivers,
it
yeah.
negatively.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then so I don't mind it. If it's gonna make him play better, if he's gonna enjoy pissing off the opposition fans, then sure, keep doing it.
And
But yeah, I mean, it's stupid.
And before joining us, the stats from last season and the past couple of seasons, he's one of the most fouled players, anyways. So we
Yeah.
know that he's gonna. Yeah.
I mean, if anything, he's getting fouled less with us because Pep doesn't like fouls because we're
That's true.
shit at free kicks and penalties.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, whatever. If he plays better because of it, then great.
Before we start getting complaints, no dogs were harmed in the making of this show. Right, well, let's face it.
Not on camera.
I think we've both hit the nail on the head here. Players in our teams of the week. Bernardo Silva, phenomenal. I still... How long has he got left in his contract? He must have a good couple of... And the idea of him leaving genuinely pains me a little bit. Because it was him that was...
Now, I tell you what. Tell the Sheikh to make a sun, an artificial sun, in Manchester. But you can do whatever you want, but that man has to stay.
He's so good, isn't he? He's so good. Do you two get the feeling he'll be gone at the end of this season, though?
I hope not.
There's a niggle there that we're getting one more year out of him. We're doing a Daniel Levy saying, just have one more year and you can go after that when we find a replacement for you.
But I think the good thing is that I think he too understands that there's no one in for him. Because in Kane's case, it was obvious that we wanted him. And it's good we did get him, by the way. But in his case, he knows that we're happy to let him leave if there's someone coming forward with a good enough offer. But I think he saw that neither Milan nor Atletico came forward with the offers. I don't think he can have complaints either. And because of that, I mean, if they didn't come forward this summer, and then next summer, I don't see them coming unless they lose one of their big players, which I don't know if it'll happen. So I have hope because of that. But we'll see.
Yeah, there's not much money knocking around at the moment, and you will need a lot of cash to sign Bernardo from us. There's no question about that. And when he plays, he does seem to enjoy playing for City as well. He always has done. He's never been one to complain, has he, or whinge?
That's something that came up a lot, obviously around the summer when he was trying to leave, seemingly, allegedly. But his professionalism, the way that he plays, you could not tell that he's unhappy. He is playing so well. He is so... he is just so good, on the ball or chasing the ball when the opposition has it. You couldn't tell that there's anything wrong with him in terms of him wanting to no longer be at the club. That's pretty incredible in terms of professionalism.
I'm just looking at some stats here. One thing that's gone right under the radar for me is City are now 8 games unbeaten in the Premier League. That's completely bypassed me. So who have we been to then? We've been to Chelsea. Who have we been to?
Liverpool.
Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs. We got beaten by Spurs, didn't we? We got beat by
Yeah,
Spurs,
that was the first. I think we didn't lose after that, did we?
I think so.
Yeah, we didn't lose after that.
I think Leicester.
We went to
Leicester, Chelsea, and Liverpool.
We beat them.
Brighton.
Southampton, we drew, which is not good. Arsenal, we thrashed them.
Of course, yeah.
Norwich, yeah. Was it Norwich? Yep, we thrashed them too. Yeah, 5-0 both. Yep, I think that's it for the league. And then elsewhere, we went to obviously Brugge in the Champions League.
Paris.
But then we lost to PSG.
Yeah.
We also beat Wickham in the Carabao Cup. Yeah.
Tibbs, as our Man City French correspondent, what was the after effects of the PSG game?
So, funnily enough, I was actually out of the country at that time. I was with my family in the US, so I ended up watching the game over
It's a
there.
poor excuse.
I know, I wish I really wanted to get tickets to the game. But that aside, I think it's funny. I actually had a lot of banter with my coworkers last season when we played them in the Champions League, obviously in the semifinal. And that was pretty intense. Like people were a little irked by the fact that I'm French and based in Paris and supporting City and not PSG. This time around, I didn't hear anything. I think it was a lot more quiet. I didn't get anyone teasing me the day after or anything like that. So I think there's this kind of acknowledgement that yes, they won and Messi is going to Messi and do his thing. But at the end of the day, we played well. We have nothing to be ashamed of. If it's only the case of really wish we could have won, at least drawn, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried for what's next. I'm not worried about getting out of the group stages. If anything, I'm quite excited to see Paris come to Manchester and see how that works.
Hey, that's not long away. 24th of November, City versus Paris, so that'll be a cracking game.
4 weeks from now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. But before that,
Yeah.
we go to, thank you for reminding me, Tibbs, we've got West Ham on Wednesday. That's another thing that's come under the radar for me. In the City Trophy. Welcome to the City Trophy, West Ham. We're obviously away. What's your gut feeling? I know we've got a bit more to talk about with Brighton, but let's have a quick nip into the West Ham and the City Trophy time. What's your thoughts about that game, lads? It's got to be a surefire win, that, isn't it? Are we not 100% confident we're going to give them a hammer in? Get it? Hammer in, West Ham. Hammer in. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
I'm pretty confident. I know that they've played well. Obviously, Michail Antonio, he's been a beast over the last season and a half, 2 seasons. For them, it's a system that seems to work really well with him and with them. But I don't see us not winning this. And moving on to the next stage.
I just can't see anything else but as just City dismantling. I want to see Cole Palmer. I want to see him play. I want to see a couple of the youth teams play, and I think we will see a lot of youth on the bench as well. But I still think he'll put out a reasonably strong squad. I think he'll still want to get through this next round and do it with aplomb, with a view to playing Palace on Saturday. But West Ham, I can't see it. I'm just thinking to myself, is that a tricky tie? I just can't see us not winning, and it's hard that on West Ham. It's just Neil, what do you think, pal? Can you see anything else but a City win there?
I think West Ham are a very good team, but I also think it's good that they're in Europe. Because what that means is that they'll have to rest their players as well, because they're playing in the Europa League.
Okay.
If they weren't in the Europa League, then they'd throw the likes of Antonio and Rice at us. But because they are in the Europa League, I believe, well, I'm certain they'll have to rest some of them. Obviously, that makes life easier for us. So with that in mind, I think we can win, but I'm not that confident. I mean, I'm confident we win, but I'm not as confident as you. But I can also see West Ham winning, especially after they beat United, who are admittedly hopeless, which I love. But yeah.
The small club across town.
I will never get tired of people calling United hopeless. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, but it'll be. I think Pep did say that he will play a couple of youngsters, but he also said it won't be as much as the Wickham game, which is obvious. But yeah, I think Palmer, maybe James McAtee, but that's just me because I like him. I think I tell you what, from what I've watched, I'd say he's even better than Cole Palmer in terms of potential.
That's a bold.
That guy
statement.
is a right-footed David Silva in the making.
Oh.
But let's not put too much pressure on him.
That'd be very nice to see then from that side of things, won't it? Let's go from there. Give us your score prediction for City West Ham then, lads. I'm going to go for an easy 3-0.
Yeah, I put it down on. Oh, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go 2-0.
I need to be consistent with my prediction in the Manchester City Discord, so I'll go 3-0 as well.
3-0. Right. Okay. So we're all hoping for that. So it's going to be 1-1 into it and go straight to penalties. Hopefully Edison. Hey, Neil Horrell, thank you very much, Neil. Sergio scored his first goal for Barca yesterday. Did anyone see that?
He did, he
I've
did.
not seen it
Yep,
yet.
I saw that.
Was it a
Um,
typical Sergio
it was
finish?
it was in the 97th minute when they were 2-0 down, and he came off the bench in the Clasico, obviously. And it was from inside the 6-yard box, if I'm not wrong. But a goal is a goal. So nice to see.
It was one of those like Sergio angry goal, you know, like when you score it,
Yeah,
it's just like
Yeah, get the monkey off
Yeah.
the back and then go from there.
Mhm.
Mohammed Lodi on Facebook's asked the question: what's your thoughts on Mahrez and Jesus competition? Who's going to be scoring the most goals this season? I think Jesus has got a chance. I think he's doing really well, and I think he's got that eye the tiger moment now. Sergio's gone. What do you two think?
I think to answer the goals question, I believe Maris will score more goals, not necessarily because he'll get more games, but simply because in that position he's just like better at scoring with the way he cuts inside and shoots. Whereas Jesus, sorry, right-footed, he's more of hit the byline and cross and all that. So I think Maris will score more goals. But in terms of who will play better, I'm not sure because they're both doing really well whenever you throw them in. But from what I've seen, I think Mahrez is our pick for the Champions League, especially against big games when we won't like dominate possession so much because what he brings in terms of counter-attacking threat and his one-on-one dribbling and shooting, like he can get you a goal out of nothing more than his Jesus can. So I think in the Champions League, it's Mahrez nailed on. But in the Premier League, I think Jesus will start more, especially against like the lesser teams where we have more possession, because he just adds more in terms of unlocking low blocks with the way he can make runs in behind, or with like his crossing and all of that. But I think it's a very healthy competition.
Yeah.
It's gonna push both of them to be better, so I'm a fan.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because I'm looking at the top goal scorers now, and Mahrez seems to be slightly running away with it. Mahrez is on 7 goals, Phil Foden's on 4, Jesus on 3, Torres, De Bruyne on 3, and 2s and 1s for the rest of it. But looking on the other side of the coin, this kind of marries up what everyone's saying about Jesus playing more as a wide player. Because Jesus is leading the assists at the minute with 5 assists and Foden on 4. So, is Jesus playing a different game than what I was expecting? Yeah, I think he is. From these stats, anyway. He's got a pass accuracy of 86%, Jesus. That's ridiculous. That's really good.
It's really good.
That's better than Foden.
Seeing Jesus on the wing since the beginning of the season and seeing a couple weeks ago Ferran Torres up front was one of the new things that I saw this season that I was really happy about. It's not something that I really thought about before, but seeing Jesus being back as on the wing and just feeding whoever is up front has been a joy this season so far. So I'm glad that he's back from Brazil, back from the COVID lockdown restriction thing, and I just want to see a lot more of that this season from him.
Yeah,
and the occasional goal.
My tip for top goal scorer this season is going right out the window. I had Sterling coming back strong this season, but it's just something there at the minute, isn't there? There's still that little bit of negativity around the City fans for Sterling, and he's got 2. What's he got? 2 assists, I think. Yeah, 2 assists and 1 goal. So he needs to be really up in the ante, doesn't he? I mean, Raheem Sterling's shot accuracy is 32%. 32%. And Kyle Walker's is 67%. That gives you an idea about what we're talking about there. We need to move on from that. So listen, long story short, the Brighton game. I think Brighton messed up a little bit of their tactics, but I think you have to play what's in front of you, don't you? And we punished them. We punished them heavily. Coming up to the West Ham game, I'm fully expecting a win. I'm expecting a strong team as well with a fluttering of youth. Are you guys expecting the same?
Yeah, I do hope Sterling plays though. For his confidence.
Sterling?
But yeah, I hope he plays. I hope he starts. But I don't know. Is his back okay? I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah.
If somebody offered you £70 million for him, would you take it?
I would. In FM, you have this option called stall offer. That's the one I take because I need to think about that.
I think we need to weigh up with Sterling. He's 26. He's still relatively young in football terms.
Exactly. Yeah,
So I think
that's
he's
why
got plenty more to
because
go in it, and I don't think selling him now is the best option for us. I think to try and replace him, we'd be spending a lot more money than we'd have to sell him for. So I don't see the point in it. I think we just persist and let's just hope his form turns good. Something's ticked in his brain, hasn't it? Something's happened where he just needs that body confidence, that positivity to start flowing through again to be able to know that he's the man, he can score. Remember when he went down to Wembley? I don't know if it was it was a cup game. I think it was when we played Chelsea and he scored the last penalty to win the game against Chelsea, when their goalkeeper wouldn't come off. Do you remember? League Cup.
oh yeah, 2018 or 17.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, he's
It's the final two, yeah,
at his
final.
pomp then, wasn't he? And all the press was like, you know, he's the lad from Wembley, he's the lad from around the corner, this is his hometown, and he comes and does that for us. We need that Sterling back. And I've got confidence he'll be there. Neil Horrell's asked a really good question. John Stones, why is he dropped down the pecking order over Laporte? Is it simply because Pep's just seen Laporte to step up to the plate?
I think Pep's modus operandi is very simple. If you play good, you stay in the team. If you play bad, you're out of the team. And if you play very bad, then you might get a chance in the team in the smaller games. But Laporte right now, so obviously Stones was out in like the first couple of games of the season because of his injury with England and all that. And then Laporte came in and started playing brilliantly. And personally, I believe that the Diaz-Laporte partnership is better than Diaz-Stones because, well, firstly, I think Laporte is ever so slightly better than Stones as centre back. And secondly, it's always good to have a right footer and a left footer back there, especially because Cancelo is often left back and he's a right footer. So I think that partnership is more well-rounded and slightly better in terms of quality. Also, I think Laporte is a very good defender, like purely in terms of defending, like 1v1s, which is slightly underrated, but his passing is obviously brilliant.
He's been better as well, hasn't he, this season? Laporte's been better this season. He's stepped up massively.
Yeah. And similar to Bernardo Silva, it's interesting because Laporte, he was trying to leave apparently this past summer too. So the fact that he's getting some game time, playing well, that's encouraging. But I wouldn't know about John Stones enough.
Interesting. Right, lads.
I mean, I think
last
Stones,
point, Neil, and we'll wrap it up. Last point, pal.
Yeah, so I think with Stones, he's been out injured or unfit half the time. So I don't think he can complain much really. And well, hopefully, because of the fact that we're in so many different competitions, we'll still be getting enough game time. So if in the case that one of Diaz or Laporte either drop or unfortunately enough get injured, then we have a third world-class centre back waiting to fill in. So
yeah,
it's good for us.
We seem to be strong in that area, don't we? So we keep moving forward. I still wouldn't say no to another left back. If one was to arise, and not being greedy, maybe I'm being greedy. Anyway, never mind. We can afford it. Right, Blues. That's it. We march on to the West Ham game on Wednesday night. It's been lovely. Thank you so much for joining us, Neil. Thank you, Tibbs. Have a great evening, Blues. I'll speak to you soon.